We are live. We are live. We are just waiting for Miss Anna to join us. Hello, Alice. Hello there, Sarah. I hope you guys are ready to talk about some goals. Hi there. If you guys have any goals that you guys are working on, we'd love to hear them or how you created your goal, because that's what we're talking about today is goal setting. So Anna should be joining us here shortly. Hi there, Tatum. Hi there, Anna. How are you?
Hey. Hi, Jennifer. Let me turn you up. Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Today we are talking about goal setting. So to get us started, I'm Jennifer from Carrots, and I've been working here for about 4 years, and I have had horses in my life since about first grade. And then we have Anna here with us from Horse Right. Anna, do you want to tell us what Horse Right is?
Absolutely. So, one, Jennifer, thank you so much for having me. It's so fun to be here and to talk about a topic I love. So, we're going to explore some fun and hopefully helpful tips for you all. But Horse Right has really evolved for me. What it is a journal for writing. So, a way to really look at a process for how you can make progress in writing. But I have literally so much fun here on the community and building here. So it's, as I say, it's evolving. What I have is a journal. I like to talk about mindset and goals. And today I think we're going to talk about kind of how we talk about goals and how we can talk about them together.
Yeah, exactly. We're actually going to be breaking down the three things, how we can reframe goals. We actually called it yesterday when we were talking about it more in depthly. It's basically we're doing a rebranding of how someone thinks about setting a goal and how you choose a goal. So there's a lot of things at play. I first want to say that if you don't have a goal, it's totally okay. Be gentle on yourself, have self-compassion, and it's totally okay if you see others with all these goals. And we want to remind people not to compare themselves, because it can be one of those things where you see everyone with their New Year's posts of having all these goals. And it might be one of those things where you need to, take the time to choose what that goal is for yourself, but also really not comparing yourself to what is going out in the external world around you. So we just wanted to have kind of that pre-disclaimer, and I'm sure we'll say that once more again in this conversation. But Anna, do you want to take us into just the big picture of what that looks like to just even start the process of goal setting?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that because goals, the term can be intimidating. I know for me, it definitely is. So today's topic is so on point for that because if we can like reframe, like rebrand what goals mean to us and like you as an individual, that is what's so important and that's what matters. So I want to talk you through like three things, like three tips I have. But first, just give you like a real quick snippet into my life and like how I came with, having a better understanding to like reframe what goals mean to me.
Let's do
Right?
it. Let's
Yeah.
have a vulnerable moment. Let's get into these goal setting.
I love it. So some of you may know I live in Germany. I'm from the US, I'm from Ohio, but upon like moving here, it was really difficult, challenging and like exhausting. And I had to really rethink, like start from square one of where I was going to ride. How am I going to navigate like riding here? What barns? Like, how is it all going to work out? So I had to be like, do an exercise for myself. Like, well, who am I? As simple as that. And what do I want, to be? And so I just had to be very intentional with my writing. It's something that I absolutely love. I wanted to do. So it had to be a part of my life. So instead of a goal, I use the word intention. And so my intention is to be with horses, stay with them. And through that, like avenues, just because I had that intention and aligned, I started acting in ways where like avenues just like kind of opened up for me. But if I didn't have that intention, they probably wouldn't have. So it wasn't directly a goal, but I just like set the right path of how I wanted to think about it, how I wanted to like my life to fold out. So opportunities for writing, like I figured it out. It was okay. The world didn't stop turning. And also with that, horse ride actually came to be what it is. Like I then decided to make it a reality because it's something I could control. Like it was a project that kept me in the horse community, kept me alongside horses. And so just through also like knowing that's what I want to do, I was able to
Yeah.
turn this into a reality, which is like fantastic.
And I do want to just plug in there too. I think sometimes when we are an equestrian, when we've had a horse in our life, or I've been competitive in showing, and then all of a sudden when you don't have kind of what's in front of you as far as like in the competitive space of competing, you then forget that a goal could be as simple as I want horses back in my life. So I want to remind people, maybe you guys are joining us and you're getting into the sport of horseback riding, or maybe you guys are competitive and competing. Wherever you're at, that goal is so worthy of like you wanting it, and you're deserving of it. And so I just wanted to remind people too that it could be just getting back into horses, it could be finding that horse community that you're longing for. And so I do want to remind people that just because maybe you're not competitive doesn't mean that your goals aren't
Yeah,
as valid as someone else's. So just want
for
that as a
sure.
reminder. And I love that you shared that story with us. Do you want to kind of break down what you would ask yourself for that process of choosing a goal?
Yeah. And it's on point. Like it's what matters to you. Like, so if you aren't competing, don't have a horse, it's okay. Like you need to understand what you want, like what's important. Like don't compare it to others, as Jennifer said. I
Yeah.
think that really resonates with me as well. So I have three things I want to highlight that can help just like get yourself oriented, or like how can I start thinking about this way, like goals. It is what it's how it means to you, like what's important to you. So number one, think big. Like have fun.
Yes.
Like this is a time where you can literally just say, what do I want to do and who do I want to be? And remove the words like, oh, I can't, I shouldn't, not now, just from your vocabulary of thinking and even what you speak or what you write. Remove
Yeah.
that because you're thinking big, like just have fun. What do you want to do? You can go through, I have a few journal prompts even on my page just to kind of get, the juices flowing of what you could answer to get that started. So think big. You can even start to think so big, like in the future, in 20, 50 years from now, what will you, what will your legacy be, right? What impact
Mhm.
is that? But also in line, like what really makes you feel fulfilled? Probably for a lot of us, maybe it involves horses with riding. That's awesome. And ask yourself, like, this really fulfills me today. In 20 years, do I think it'll still fulfill me? And then you can kind of think, think big picture just in the future as well. So that's
I
step
love
number one, just to start kind of ruminating and thinking what you can do.
Yeah, and I love that. And what we talked about yesterday too is thinking ahead to that future. And like you said, your legacy. It was like listening to a book and also a friend, and they brought that up to me, like, what do you want your legacy to be? And just like being asked that, I've never like, oh my gosh, like I plan and I have goals, but I didn't know. And that's okay. I just want to like normalize that for other people. If like that's like, oh my gosh, I've never been asked that. Even if you're a kid and you're like, wow, what do I want that to look like? Like maybe it's not even your career, but it's like, what do I want my life to with horses to look like? And so
Yeah.
I think that's just a really good question. I know that you had also made some notes about removing the can't or the not now from your vocabulary. Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. It is, I think, really important. And the more you become aware of like if you're always talking or just thinking in words of like can't, or if it's just like a negative, type of word area, it how I look at it, and I heard this through like reading or listening to things, like your brain can't really, when you think of like don't smile, we always smile. Even saying here don't. So it works the same way if you're like, don't look down, try not to slouch. Like it's the same thing. So even as you're thinking of goals or what you want to do, just think of it in very positive terms, because then you're going to think of it that way. Um, so and it is big picture. Like it's a time that you can just brainstorm. You're not like clearly saying, this is my calendar for today. This is all the time I have and what I need to get done. You're literally just thinking big picture of what you want to be. It's the most fun thing you can do. So there's no need to say, oh, I can't do that, or I shouldn't, or I wouldn't be able to.
I love that. Yes. So, reminder for people coming in, we're talking about reframing goals, and we're talking about how do you choose a goal and reframing how someone chooses that goal of just removing kind of any aspects of internal pressures or comparison, and just dreaming big. So that's what we're talking about today: reframing goals, how to choose a goal, removing the can't, not now, and could I do this. But next we're going to actually be talking about visualizing. So do you want to go into that, Anna, with some details?
Yes. And this is where, so if you kind of have some things in mind, you've thought really big, start feeling into it. And you can do that a few different ways, like um, picturing yourself there and what does it look like? Like, if you thought really big, like this is really something that's fun, you're motivated, then really start feeling into, oh, well, where would that take me? Like, literally, what does my house look like? What does my barn look like? Right? Things like this, like really down to those details, and then feel it for yourself because it's going to be amazing and fun.
Yeah.
So, like, what mood does it, put you in? And if it's something fun, you thought big, now you're going to visualize it immediately. You can go to this and think about it, and it's going to put you in a great mood. And I just love that. I think it's a great thing you can do. Just visualize it
I love that.
and feel it. It's so powerful.
I I use this notebook. It's a little bit dweeby, but it says Chase
Oh, what
Rainbows,
does it
and it's
say?
my Chase
Cute.
Rainbows. And I got it
Like
because
it.
I was like, this is super dorky and fun. But I put all of my lists, and like I actually have on my to-do list, because I just moved, find horse barn, and I put qualities that I wanted in a horse
Yeah.
barn and what I want to feel like when I'm there. I did that when I just bought my home. I put a
Yeah.
manifestation list. I put everything
Yeah.
down I wanted in my home. I didn't even know it was possible to get all those things, but you start to visualize it and put it in a list or draw it. Maybe you guys like to do the manifestation boards. There's so many different exercises. So we didn't want to, spend too much time on all the different visualization techniques, but there are a lot of ways, whether you're an audio type of person, there's so many great podcasts out there. But again, a simple notebook that you can get from Target, or even just put some pieces of paper together. Even your new notebook, the horse rate journal is really great because there are some pages where then you can write those great notes out. There's some great, not fully blank, but some great pages where you can really define that too, especially around horses. So yeah, it's just one of those things, is making sure that you take that time, you get a silly notebook, and you just start dreaming big.
All you need
um,
is pen and paper.
yeah, it's
That's
true.
right.
It's true.
Yeah,
Um, do you want to go through some of the questions too to help orient that perspective?
of course. So this helps me kind of like if I have maybe competing things like, okay, you just went through thinking really big, you have a better understanding how to make you feel, but then then you might get into a stage you're like, wow, that is going to take me a long time. It's going to be hard. And you don't want to demotivate yourself. Or maybe if you have some way of like saying, giving yourself a perspective of what you could start doing now and what it will be in the long-term impact.
Yeah.
So even I'd say like if you have specific projects, maybe events you're even considering, to do or go to with your horse, ask yourself to get there, what is the time up front that's needed, right? So time up front, like get started, get it going. How much joy and excitement is it bringing you? How difficult is it? But what is the like 10-year impact to it? So some
Mm,
things then you can start to see, okay, maybe it's not so much fun up front, but in 10 years, it's gonna like, wow, I'm gonna excel like so much, it's gonna change my life. So then you can start to see it's
true.
gonna be like awesome. So it makes sense to get started. Or it could be like, maybe it's not gonna be difficult. It's gonna take you just a few weeks to get started, and then you can, achieve that right then and there. So I just like that practice to help kind of prioritize or just give myself a perspective on
Mhm.
what is entailed. Now that I want to do these things, just kind of give more of a realistic like perspective for myself.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think that then goes back to, again, you've dreamed big. You've taken, whether you timed yourself for 20 seconds, whether you gave yourself the whole evening with your favorite beverage, and then you just wrote down a list of things. And then that basically what we're just saying is how to prioritize and rank those goals, those dreams that you've written down, and how you start to kind of execute on them. But again, you can, that's the great part, is like you can dream so big, and then you can be like, is this really going to give me a ton of pleasure, but how is that going to add to my legacy that I just dreamed up?
Yep.
um
Yeah,
so
exactly.
We do want to talk about too how to anchor yourself in daily routines. And I know this is something that you harp on a lot. If you guys follow the Horse Ride account, which I would highly recommend, is following Horse Ride. They have such, I mean, sometimes I'm like,
I have
oh,
so
I'm
much
having a,
fun with it.
yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I'm having a day, and then I look at your account, I'm like, it's so positive. So, but yeah.
Aw,
So
thanks.
how? Tell us how you anchor yourself in daily routines. Do you have any, not only examples, but maybe something you could share?
I do. So I'll tell you what I mean by when I say like anchor in daily routines, and I'll give you some examples that I do that have really helped. But what I mean is we all have our daily routines. We go through like we're all, getting up in the morning, we go through our days. So you're doing things every day, probably the same, like brush your teeth, feed your horse, feed your dog, cat, right? So whenever you go and do those things, think of like when I do this, when I brush my teeth, I'm going to think of like one thing I'm grateful for. So every time I
Mm,
brush my teeth, I start to connect, okay, one thing I'm grateful for,
mm,
or one thing like I'm really appreciate about one of my friends. Okay, and this is just like for like overall like mindset, just kind of get your head in the right groove, um, which is extremely helpful. But if it comes to like your intentions or goals, like every time you go to
mm.
clean your riding boots, think about what goal you set or what intention you have when you do that. So it's an
Yeah.
anchor. You have to keep doing it, right? And it's okay, like you might forget, like sometimes I'll brush my teeth and I forget to do that, but I'm not gonna like beat myself up. I'm like, that's all right, that's human, it happens. It's okay. But the more you start to do it, then you kind of go back to it, and it's really helpful, extremely helpful, I found.
That is wonderful. I love that. So nerdy. I actually have a gratitude journal. I've
Yeah,
been kind of bad at it the last month, but for like 2 years, every day I write. Just I time myself for a minute and just
yeah,
try to write as much as I can in my gratitude notebook, and that
yeah,
really helps me remember what to be grateful about.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
let's talk about scheduling yourself and giving yourself that time.
Equally as important, so important because again, like we're going through day to day, so these little like anchors can be helpful, but it's not the amount of time like you need to really internalize and be like reflect or even take that time to think big and then visualize, your intentions and goals. So if you would just find a time, maybe it's like Friday afternoons for 15 minutes, for a half hour. I'm better to do things in the morning. So I schedule my time in the morning, and it's to do what I need to do. If it's writing, it's typically writing for me. I write in my journal, but it can just be like to sit there and just really think, like ask yourself those questions, get some prompts, or just like ponder for yourself of what you need to do. Like there does not need to be a schedule or agenda. It's what you need to do. You can set an intention for it. Maybe even give yourself, I'd love to feel this way after. So you know kind of what you'd like to think about. But it's just schedule time for yourself. It's so important, right? Just for your
Yeah.
head, like for your mind, and get that moving.
It's true. And I think, as much as we spend time on social media, which obviously this is the platform that we're using to get in front of people, but taking that time too, because sometimes it feels like you're having downtime when you're on your phone, but unplugging
mm,
and taking that time. So I just wanted to insert that because I know
oh
that
yeah,
me
it's big.
being the digital marketing person that I am, to take that time to make all these notes, like I've almost used this entire notebook of just different plans, different lists, and different dreams. And it
Yeah,
takes time then to sit down by myself and to make those dreams a reality. So I just
yeah.
wanted to mention
It
unplug.
it unplug. Like we live in an instantaneous world. We get information like this, and then it's typically gone like that. At least for me, it is. I'm like, wait, what did I Google or what did I search for? And you have to like go to your phone, you can look. But so I think it's important to write down because you're really putting information in your head on paper. It's not instantaneous. So it's just like that. It's some time for yourself. And it's
Exactly.
something for me, it's so powerful. Just like if I have a lot to do that day, if I'm overwhelmed, if I just write and journal, I know it's there, it's not going anywhere, and I can move on and be much more relaxed. It's so helpful.
100%. Well, we're going to do one plug for the giveaway. So, a huge reason why
Yeah.
we're looking into goal setting is we're doing the new year, new gear, new goals giveaway. And essentially that concept is when you have the gear and you set yourself up for success and you do the dreaming, you do the head and heart work, you do the lists, you prioritize your priorities, then you need the gear. And I know that firsthand from horseback riding. There was times where I had the gear, there's times I didn't because, my family we had land. And so it was one of those things where we had to work really hard to get the gear that we needed. And I know a lot of people feel that same way. And so to have all new things for the show year or a notebook that you can write in. So basically this giveaway is to give you the tools that you need to be successful this year. That's what it is. It's fueling you guys to be as successful as possible in whatever your goals look like. And that's the thing. We don't know what your goals are, but we want to know. So we have a template for you to figure that out with and to post and share that, because when you can share your goals, you're more successful at potentially achieving them. And so that's why we're doing that giveaway. And we're going to be doing this series throughout this month. And we'd love if you guys have a topic you guys want us to go over. We put a lot of research into this. And so if there's anything you guys would like us to discuss more, we'd be more than happy to. But I do want Anna to take the time and just say, okay, so we've talked about choosing a goal. We're talking about reframing goals. What is the one takeaway you'd want the viewers to take from this conversation?
Know what makes yourself happy and fulfilled, not what others think that it should. So take that time for yourself. I guarantee when you set an intention, different avenues will open up, right? If you take that time for yourself, set an intention, different avenues, ideas will spark. So your intentions will create that reality. Or rephrase. Maybe it's not goal is your word. Use intention, use a different word. Rephrase. It's your life. Do what, works for you and what's going to get you there.
I love that. So I hope everyone can take the time to not only unplug, but create their goals. And like I said, with this giveaway, I don't know if you guys know this, but we're doing one every single week. So, surprise.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know. So we want to help you guys get to your goals, and we absolutely love helping people achieve their dreams. So I know we're a clothing company, but we just like seeing people
So much
succeed
more.
with their horses. So, okay, thanks, Anna. Thanks for your time. I'll let you go
Thanks,
because you're in
Jennifer.
Germany. It's probably bedtime. So thank
Yeah, we're
you.
good. It's 6:40, but we're good. I'm so happy I could be here. This was so great. And I look forward to the rest of the month.
Perfect. Bye, Anna.
Bye.